Hey guys, welcome to another Salford Judd video. This one, we're going to go over the derby, we're going to go over what's happening in the championship, money issues at clubs, and also the NRL takeover and how that'll affect the championship, and generally everything Salford. So we're going to go through all of that. Hope you guys enjoy. A bit of a different video from me, but we're going to start uploading on this YouTube channel a lot more. Anyway, let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about the derby. Salford winning 10-20. Should have done that the opposite way around. Absolute brilliant win for Salford. Really proud of the lads. I thought it was a really gritty performance. First half, we were really good. Second half, Swinton started coming into it a lot more, which obviously made us panic, especially in certain situations when they started spreading the ball out. I thought that wingers were doing really well in certain periods of the game, but they had so many errors. I thought we were the better team overall. The errors, the cards, like really tried dragging us into this sort of like gritty game, like trying to get players sent off and all that type of stuff. It was an interesting performance, but I thought, you know what, took the win. We'll take those all day long. There's two games that Salford fans do not want to lose this year, and it is both the Swinton games. They are the two that we do not want to lose. We did quite well. We performed well, especially in the first half, and yeah, we came out with the win. Obviously, Sunday, it was extremely windy, and that did play a part in the game, especially kicking against the wind. I think there was a point in the game where there was a kick. It went over the 10 and then came back, and then obviously it was a penalty. So yeah, it's one of those where, you know, there's a lot of factors in that. In our rivals, Swinton was really good. And also on that, a lot of us will never have experienced a Salford derby before. You know, last time we pretty much played Swinton was around, what, 34 to 36 years ago in like a proper competitive fixture. There was a pre-season fixture a couple of years ago, and that was feisty. That was when we all got to meet the players from the 2024 squad. You know, that great season that we had, especially the home record. I think we lost once in the regular season at home, and that was Wigan. And that was obviously, we lost because of the short dropout. You know, the lads did great. Yeah, we'll take the win. One big thing I wanted to say, especially on the atmosphere was absolutely unreal. The stadium was packed out. I can't say how many Salford fans actually attended that game. So the official attendance was something like 2,700, like around that figure. I barely saw a Swinton fan. All I saw was just Reds everywhere. Someone said that we took around 2.2 thousand, which is absolutely mad. I thought we did absolutely brilliant in that one. Derby day, it was absolutely brilliant. A really good day. I was looking forward to it all week. Obviously, it came round. It was good seeing everyone. I could barely move in the stand. I could, like, sometimes I'll try and get my phone out to record a little bit of content to do like sort of the match day vlogs for you guys. It was really hard to just move in general. Thanks to Scott as well for throwing the confetti. I'm sure it was you that threw it. I was absolutely covered. I got home and then literally it was just falling out everywhere. So yeah, really good day and really appreciative that I got to experience a Salford derby in my lifetime. And yeah, hopefully will be many more. In the end, it's great for the city of Salford. It's great overall. You know, more derbies. I think in terms of intercity derbies, the Salford derby is one of the only other ones apart from FC and KR. Hopefully that starts growing the fan bases, you know, rivalries really build, people wanting to come to those games. So yeah, the Salford derby was absolutely brilliant. So let's talk about all the new signings Salford have made and sort of the recruitment structure that's been happening recently. So first of all, we've made a couple of signings of players that have been playing extremely well, and there's obviously come a few fan favourites playing extremely well, putting effort out there. Secondly, it also means that a plan's being built, so it obviously shows that we're starting to build our squad, especially for next season. Really important. It shows that obviously we know what we're doing. We're obviously getting players in ready for sort of like a finalised squad by the end of the year and / getting prepared for next year. But obviously we don't want to write this year off. We've seen that the attendances are being affected by performances. We still want to compete. You know, players don't want to be probably going to games and then just thinking, oh, well, I get a free pass. Like, there's got to be a great balance. And there was a bit of like an argument in the Salford fandom between people who were just be happy that you've got a club. You know, we can't criticise performances. We have to be happy that we're playing. And then obviously another side of the fan base that was like, well, we are happy we've got a club, but we want to be having performances. So yeah, I think you got to strike a balance, understand the situation that's happened this year, but then also, you know, make sure that moving forward, you know, we're improving week on week, and obviously the players are putting the performances. But I'm really happy with how the guys have been performing, especially recently. You know, nothing can get as bad as Workington away. That was probably a real low point this season, especially when the sort of squads were evenly matched and some of the people we had in that squad as well. Yeah, I think the last three performances have been great, to be fair. We've been really building on that. So yeah, hopefully that continues moving forward and we obviously offer more contracts to more players. The three players that got contracts, Toby Hughes, Owen Haldenby and Joe Hartley. So yeah, my thoughts on this, it feels practical, it feels earned, and more importantly, it feels like the club are really building a structure, building over time, and that's something that we want. And obviously we've literally just started this rugby club like what, 4 months ago. Like it's mad. So yeah, I think positives moving forward. So next, let's talk about the money issues in the championship in general. And there's a lot of news that's going around, which is obviously a little bit worrying, but obviously gives us some perspective in terms of what the lower league clubs are actually facing right now. So first of all, North Wales Crusaders supposedly have not been paying their players. Right, so just as I was editing this video, a statement has just come out from North Wales Crusaders pretty much confirming that the owners are pulling out and they're going to try and find different owners to take over the club. So yeah, I don't think they're going to make May the 31st or whenever our game against them is. Wow. Obviously, speaking to a lot of the players, obviously, since that situation last year, it's not great that obviously another championship club is basically going through this now. We had it with Halifax, Fev, now obviously North Wales Crusaders. But yeah, it's not great. It also means that it makes total sense why they did the early ticket sales for the Salford game. Now, North Wales Crusaders are our replacement game for Fev. They'll put that fixture in, obviously, to cover the money lost for obviously Fev not being in, because the RFL would have to pay the clubs if the fixture didn't go ahead. What was quite interesting is they did the early sale and they've announced that Salford are based on their record-breaking home attendance that they'll ever have. We know we've all bought tickets and we're ready to obviously go to this game. If this game goes ahead, we don't even know now. That's obviously a big question because it's been multiple months that players haven't been paid or they've been paid late. I mean, I booked a hotel, like we're all getting ready to go and have this big sort of weekend away, you know, watch the rugby in Wales, you know, as we compete against North Wales Crusaders, which is going to be extra special, by the way. Obviously, Inu joined there as coach, and if you don't know who he is, pretty much his friends destroyed Salford Red Devils. So yeah, that is going to be a feisty one. I can't imagine some of the stuff that is going to be said at that game. But what North Wales are going through right now, it's yeah, the financial concerns, it's a little bit worrying. This could affect the championship, obviously moving ahead, and then obviously when we talk about the NRL. Next on the list is Widnes and the DCBL Stadium. So yes, the council is supposedly looking to offload the stadium in Widnes. Basically, a huge talking point. It's very similar to what recently has happened with Salford with the stadium. So, for example, the council have took out a 450k loan to pay for like stadium costs. There's a lot of pressure from the constituents within the council to sell the stadium, and I think this is pretty much similar, or maybe get rid of it and build stuff on there. So directors have left, and he basically blamed the RFL and the restrictions that come with being a championship club. So it doesn't automatically mean disaster, but there is challenges there, and there's a couple of things going on in the championship. You know, Widnes are one of the biggest names in the championship. I think, you know, we're one of the big three. Obviously, I would put Salford in there on name alone. I would say that Widnes had to find somewhere else to go. That's a bit dramatic, obviously, just mentioning that, but, you know, Widnes don't seem like they're in any financial sort of issues at the moment. So that's the latest on there. Now, last but not least, let's talk about the NRL takeover. Now, obviously, this is an absolute huge one because the NRL taking over the Super League has a huge effect on all of rugby league in general. So depending on what happens, there's multiple things. First of all, if the clubs are under full NRL control, I think in terms of commercially, they'll bring in a lot of excellent commercial deals and money will be poured into rugby league, helping it grow. Also means that the salary cap can go up and key players and all that type of stuff. It allows for greater expansion. Now, the biggest thing with expansion is that's where, you know, potentially some of the NRL control can really affect the rugby league economy, as you can say. I mean, below the Super League, it's just not looked after at all, and I think the NRL would continue that. There's a couple of options in terms of the championship clubs if that does happen. So, for example, Salford could be a feeder team to Wigan, or, you know, we're already seeing it with like Newcastle Thunder, with York, with another Super League club that was mentioned a few times by a few podcasts recently, which sort of made sense that they only really send players to that type of club. It's going to be an interesting one in terms of, you know, championship clubs could not not exist at all. I think maybe they'll focus on just one product, and that's the main product that they'll just put a lot of effort into, which would be like NRL Europe. My guess that they'll rename it to that. And then in terms of the Super League teams, you know, in terms of expansion, how will that work? Will some clubs have to merge? I know mergers have been talked about a lot, and people saying, oh, well, we would refuse to merge. My guess is that NRL would basically be like, well, see you later then. But I don't think they'll get to take over in terms of there'll be a clause in there that they won't be able to force clubs already in there to merge. I'm not too sure on that one. That'll be a really interesting take in terms of what happens when the NRL come in. Clubs will have a great commercial upside to the NRL coming in. It'll have a really good infrastructure, fan engagement, all that to, you know, just look at the NRL product and how it is now. So yeah, how will that change in the future? But yeah, the biggest thing, what happens with the championship, that's I want to know. You know, maybe they'll push some of the championship clubs up into Super League, and then a few of them will just go. Maybe it'll be based off fan bases and average fan base, you know, potential to grow it. Yeah, I feel like obviously the like a Cumbrian sort of team that merges all the Cumbria teams, that sort of stuff will be going on all around. But yeah, that's it for my video. Hope you enjoyed. Just a little bit of a chat. Just wanted to sort of test out something like this and just go over anything rugby league. We got Batley this week on Sunday. Should be a good game, and hope to see you all there. Obviously, anyone, if you're not a Salford fan, you're always welcome to Salford games. We do get loads of fans from all teams at our games, which is great to see. And yeah, just back the lads. Hopefully we get the win. But yeah, but other than that, as always, come on Salford.